Okay, let's unpack this. Um, Try to picture yourself as, say, an education leader back in early 2023. Suddenly, the entire way we think about academic assessment, the take-home essay, the closed book exam, even academic integrity itself, it all just hit a massive crisis point.
Oh, absolutely. This sudden explosion of generative AI tools created this immediate, urgent need to adapt fast.
Exactly. How could universities possibly cope when these advanced tools, capable of churning out decent work, were just instantly available to everyone?
That sense of urgency, that panic almost, is precisely what Jose Antonio Bowen and C. Edward Watson tackle in their book, Teaching with AI. It really felt essential at the time.
And today, we're going a bit deeper than just a summary. Enjoy a bold new take on book coverage with this extended analysis. This is more than a recap, though we include that too. We're looking at how the authors shape their argument, how they build influence, and frankly, how they earn or maybe lose your trust. The goal is to give you the tools to read with sharper insight, more discernment. Thinking about reading this book, this deep dive should definitely help. It's also, I think, excellent if you're an aspiring writer wanting to get better at persuasive nonfiction. And hey, if you find this expanded format valuable, please let us know. Your feedback really does help us shape future content.
And just a quick note, you are experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation powered by Google's NotebookLM for deeper, more dynamic book analysis. Right, so to really get the impact of this book, you have to look at the authors, Bowen and Watson. They aren't just commentators. They're seasoned education leaders. They're known for transformative work, especially in digital pedagogy. So that background immediately gives them a high level of credibility, what we call ethos, with their audience.
Yeah, that's crucial. They're speaking to post-secondary educators, academics, policymakers, people who need practical advice from peers they trust. They're not outsiders looking in.
Exactly. They're offering practical wisdom, really, from the front lines.
And the timing. Wow. It was a direct response, wasn't it, to that huge wave of generative AI that hit after late 2022. It addressed that widespread uncertainty, maybe even fear among faculty who suddenly thought, my syllabus is useless now.
And the purpose is interesting. It's not just technical guidance. It's about reducing anxiety. It's trying to flip the script.
Flick the script how?
Well, they want to build critical AI literacy. They position AI not as this huge threat we need to police constantly, but more as a catalyst for rethinking how we teach. It forces that question. What's the real value, the human value we bring?
Okay, so that's the mission. Now let's get into how they actually make their case. Less academic theory, more the practical logic.
Right. They build their argument primarily through structure and practicality. That's their main appeal to logos or reason. The book is almost like a manual.
Exactly. That structure itself is reassuring. You see clear sections, AI basics, then policies, grading, feedback, and concrete assignments. That logical progression really reinforces their point. Integrating AI isn't some chaotic mess. It can be a manageable step-by-step process.
And what makes it click, I think, is how they move from general ideas to really specific examples. That's where they build trust. They get that instructors don't just need philosophy. They need to know, what do I actually put on my syllabus for next week?
Okay, let's talk specifics then. Policy shifts. What are their key strategies there? Because the knee-jerk reaction everywhere was buy detection software, which they push back on.
They do. They're really skeptical about over-relying on detection tools,
Mm-hmm.
partly because of false positives, which are a huge issue, and also because it creates this kind of adversarial classroom culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's policing, not teaching.
So what's the alternative?
Their approach is more about redesigning the assessment framework itself. Move away from those standard take-home essays that AI can just nail perfectly. Instead, focus on assessments that demand something unique from the student. Their personal experience, maybe collaboration, or real engagement with the world outside the classroom. Things AI can't just do.
So it's shifting focus from policing the final product to valuing the process the student went through. That makes sense. What kinds of assignments actually achieve that? Give us a couple of concrete examples from the book.
Sure, the assignment section is probably the most immediately useful for faculty. They really champion what they call authentic projects. So instead of, say, writing a generic policy brief, maybe the assignment is a community needs assessment where the student has to interview local people.
Right. AI can draft text, but it can't go out and talk to stakeholders.
Exactly. Or they push collaborative projects where the key skills are things like presentation, negotiation, maybe synthesizing different viewpoints within the group. Skills beyond just writing text. AI's role there is limited. The idea is to shift the cognitive heavy lifting away from basic synthesis, which AI is good at, towards that messy, real-world application and critical judgment.
I like that framing. Stop grading the machine's output. Start grading the student's ability to direct the machine and handle the human element. That sounds like it requires a fundamental shift in grading, too, though. How do they tackle the anxiety around fairness and evaluation?
For grading, yeah, they suggest things like more iterative assessment, focusing on drafts, reflections, the revision process, not just the final polished thing.
How does that help?
Well, imagine an assignment where a student uses AI to generate, say, 5 possible introductions. Then they have to write a short reflection explaining why they chose one over the others. Now, the student's effort is focused on judgment, on critical thinking. And that process is much more visible, auditable, and harder for AI to fake convincingly.
Okay, that makes sense. And connecting this back to trust their ethos, they maintain it because they're not just cheerleaders, right? They're candid about the downsides.
Absolutely. They don't shy away from the serious challenges. They talk explicitly about academic cheating, the potential for AI to worsen inequities if only some students can afford the best tools. That honesty builds credibility.
It does. Being realistic is key.
And their writing style helps too. It's clear, direct, not weighed down by dense academic jargon. They're clearly aiming to help the busy, maybe overwhelmed instructor, not just the impress administrators. Clarity is their tool.
And speaking of the overwhelmed instructor, we have to touch on the emotional appeal, the pathos. They really seem to get the pressure faculty are under.
Oh, definitely. You feel that empathy. They acknowledge the huge workload, rewriting everything, dealing with student anxieties, institutional pressures.
That recognition is powerful.
It is. But they don't just dwell on the anxiety. They pivot quickly to encouragement. They frame this whole shift around, I care, I can, I matter. It's positioned as a chance for professional growth, encouraging people to try things, experiment, adapt, without being terrified of getting it wrong immediately. It empowers faculty.
Before we get into the final implications and critiques, just a quick reminder about Mindful Moments. That's our YouTube channel, offering AI book analysis, summaries, and critiques designed to inspire reflection and rational thought. Okay, so thinking about how they persuade. They use rhetorical devices quite effectively, like historical analogies.
Right, they often allude to past tech disruptions, calculators, PCs, even the printing press, reminding us that panic about new tech in education isn't new.
It helps normalize the current moment, makes it feel less like an apocalypse.
It does provide context, yes. But is there maybe a risk there? Does that comparison fully hold? I mean, the internet took decades to reshape things. Generative AI felt like it changed the game in, 6 months?
That's a very fair point. The speed is different.
Right. And that speed issue connects to the central contrast they keep drawing. They constantly pull your focus away from the immediate dangers like easy plagiarism towards the potential for deeper change in teaching.
And they repeat that core message relentlessly. AI is a tool. Integrate it. Don't just ban it or demonize it.
That focus on integration is the anchor. And generally, the book seems to have landed well. Reviews often call it a lifeline, something that genuinely helps teachers adapt policies and assignments right now. It really does succeed in bridging that gap between high-level ideas and practical classroom stuff.
But we should address the main critique. While everyone agrees it's practical, some reviewers felt it could have engaged more deeply with existing research, or applied a bit more empirical scrutiny to some claims, maybe maintain more critical distance from AI itself rather than focusing so strongly on adapting to it.
That's a valid critique. But interestingly, the authors almost anticipate that. They repeatedly say, look, this isn't a universal blueprint.
Yeah.
They stress that how you integrate AI must depend on your local context, your institution's values, your department-specific goals, your pedagogical priorities.
So it's more of a guide to thinking about integration, tailored locally.
Exactly. Ultimately, they frame AI as this force for renewal, helping educators get really clear on what truly matters in human learning, the things AI can't replace.
And the book really digs into the ethics, doesn't it? Cheating, honesty, student well-being, access.
It does. And that leads us nicely to our final thought, building on that ethical complexity. If we accept their premise that some cognitive tasks, like drafting or summarizing, are shifting from the student's brain to a machine they operate, how do we actually redefine honesty or effort?
What does legitimate academic work even look like when the primary tool is exponentially more powerful than the user's own unassisted ability?
That's the huge, maybe uncomfortable conversation this book really pushes us towards. What does earned understanding mean now?
A lot to think about there. Click the link on screen for the in-depth book summary. Subscribe, share, purchase via link, and think rationally. See the many genre-based book podcasts at Mindful Moments. Subscribe and nourish your mind on the go.